Well, Fox 61, the Connecticut Office of the Arts, and the Connecticut Department of Education have all partnered on what we call the Connecticut Creative Futures.
Connecticut is full of incredible artistic talent across a variety of disciplines. And with us this morning is artist and spoken word poet Tarishi Shuler. He goes by the name of Midnight. We're going to talk to him in just a moment, but first, we have a look at some of his passionate work.
We are more than skin and bones and muscle, broken down to protein and genes that form DNA. As some DAs are in pursuit, lock me up behind bars because I'm a black star. Sometimes it feels like being black is unlucky, but luckily for me, being black is a commodity.
So powerful, so passionate. Wow.
And he is joining us now, the New Haven native. Tarishi, good morning. How are you today, sir?
Good morning. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you here. First things first, people who are watching saw that Midnight is an acronym. What is it an acronym for?
And it stands for Messiah is Dominant, Now Inspired, God Helps Tarishi.
That is wonderful. And we saw just how passionate you are in that clip right there.
So moving.
Yeah, and the first thing I wanted to ask is that an indispensable part of your poetry, being able to deliver it so forcefully like that?
Yes. The reason why I'm able to deliver like that, because I deliver the poems from a personal and genuine and authentic place. And then once I tap into that place of reciting the poems, it just flows naturally.
Now, I want to ask you, for those who are watching right now and they believe they have a passion as well, what advice would you give to them? And what if they may be a little bit intimidated, they don't feel like they're as demonstrative as you, but they still have a message? What advice would you have for them?
So I tell anyone that wants to do poetry, do not feel intimidated whatsoever. I tell my students the only difference that separates between me and you is just the years I've been doing it. So I met beginners that are like phenomenal. They're like leagues beyond me when I first started. So being timid is going to be a natural thing. Every time I perform, I'm always nervous. I take my glasses off so I can't see the audience, and it helps me get to the poem. But don't stop. Just start from anywhere, whether it be like a small cafe, a small reading in your local neighborhood, or reading amongst your friends. Is just start somewhere, make a small start, and then just build your way up until you get to where you want to get. It's all about enjoying the craft and the journey.
Yeah, and even outside of just being able to perform it or display it publicly, you mentioned that it's coming from a very personal place. To me, that means there's got to be a level of introspection that goes into at least the type of poetry that you do. That's not easy for a lot of people. How can people start to do that sort of thing?
So I tell people to write poetry that you feel comfortable with. So most of my poems are personal, and I don't subscribe to every single poem that a person writes. You don't have to tell your personal story. You can tell the things you like writing and speaking about. It could be about love. It could be about nature. It could be about your family. Write the things that you feel comfortable about writing about. Then if there's things that you are personal in yourself you want to share, then take it slow. Don't just jump into it. Just slowly build yourself into the process of sharing things. And as a reminder, this is a very intimate space, an intimate time, because you're sharing parts of yourself and you're making yourself vulnerable to your listeners.
Now, unfortunately, we're running out of time, but I know since we showed a little clip of your work, I know our viewers are really interested. They want to find out where they can see more, where they can see you live and in person. Just let everybody know the best way to find that out and follow you.
They can follow me on all social medias, 13th Midnight, 13th Midnight. You can follow me on my website, yourdestinyiscalledin.com. I post on the website everywhere I'll go. Subscribe to the newsletter, and I'll be sending everyone updates to where they can find me for live in-person shows.
Well, thank you so much, Midnight, for joining us. Three-time winner, we should mention, of the Connecticut Grand Slam Championship.
Yeah.
Certainly know what you're talking about with poetry. Thank you for taking the time to just impart a little bit of your wisdom onto any inspiring poets here watching this morning. We do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.